All right, good morning, everyone. I'm Norman. I'm the host for today's webinar. Thank you very much for joining us today in this lovely Friday morning. I know it's the weekend just around the corner. And yeah, everyone's still stuck at home. Everyone's still worried about what's going to happen with our business, our economy. Yeah, it's really tough out there. I'm sure that's the reason why most of you all have actually joined us to see how you can actually apply for the grants that are available out there. There are many out there. A lot of people are actually applying for it, but some of them don't actually know the processes or the know-how on how to apply it. And henceforth, that's the reason why we are doing it today, this webinar that we're hosting today. So yeah, joining us today for this webinar is our our sales team from our sales team, Ms. Putri Lia, who is the Grant and Client Account Manager of VLAN Asia, as well as our Director of Partnership and Commercial Relationships of VLAN Asia, Ms. Chan Li Ling. So yeah, without further ado, I'm gonna hand over the session over to you, Chan Li Ling.
Thank you, Norman, for the introduction. Good morning, everyone. I'm so happy to have you here with us. Before we start to walk you through to show you how to get the money, I would like to share a brief introduction about us and some housekeeping rules. For the housekeeping rules is, throughout this session, if you have any questions and answers, just type it on the chat box and at the chat site so that we will be able to take your Q&A at the end of the sessions. If you find that any of your Q&A is not answered, no worries, we will still reach out to you after the sessions to provide you the answers to help you in your search. And here is a little bit information about us. We at VLAN Asia, we are a technology concierge service. For the past 18 years, we have been helping customers and businesses to fulfill their business potential through technologies. And we are very passionate about technology and about software as a service subscription model. There are four main pillars in our offerings to help businesses. There are one, personalization and customer experience lifecycle through systems like HubSpot and Zendesk. Two, for organization productivity, we help businesses with systems like Microsoft 365. And three, for account simplification and automation, we help businesses with systems like Xero. And four, for infrastructure as a service, we use systems like Microsoft Azure to help businesses. The unique things about us is, as we are carrying these offers to you, we utilize and we use this technology ourselves. We even recently had built a subscription portal called SaaS City, where we allow our customers to be able to purchase these systems on their own. One of the ways we help our customers is we understand their business processes first, so that we can able to help them to identify which business process that they need the attention the most and match it with a technology that they require the most. And one of our latest projects is we have implemented Stripe in our digital payment through our SaaS City to help ourselves and businesses where we are able to collect payment and other B2B invoice payments. I think in this current climate, to be able to have collections is very crucial. And just to share with you a little bit our journey for the past 1 year, we have been actively and successfully engaging government bodies like MDEC, CDEC in helping our customers to be able to get grants like Smart Automation Grant to fast track their digitalization process through this grant. And without much further ado, I will hand the floor over to Yulia, which she will run us through the information about 3 coming grants in the horizon. Yulia, over to you.
Thank you so much, Liling. Hello and good morning to everyone. Thank you so much for being here. We really appreciate it. I'm Ilya and I will walk you through the 3 grants that you can apply for. And I will start off with the SME Corp Business Accelerator Program. So SME Corp has decided to provide this financing program to businesses to help businesses move towards digitalization and automation. And one of them is a 50% matching grant. The scope of financing is 50% of the total approved cost. Eligibility of financing is based on single business entity, maximum amount of 400,000 ringgit. Financing tenure is maximum of 6 months. Terms and conditions, balance deductions for previous grants recipients, and approved projects in previous grant applications are not eligible. So this is open to projects implemented 180 days or 6 months before date of online submission. So 50% of total approved costs allowable to be dispersed to the supplier. There is a processing fee applicable upon approval. It's 500 ringgit for small and medium SMEs and 300 ringgit for micro SMEs. The next application window is September. So throughout the whole month of September, you may submit your application, but 1st of September itself would be the best date to submit your application. The reimbursement basis is as following. The services are categorized in these amounts, but do note that the maximum reimbursement amount is 400,000 ringgit. So let's say if your project value is 800 ringgit, therefore the maximum amount you can get is 50% of that, which is 400 ringgit. Sorry, 400,000 ringgit. 400 is too little. Qualifying conditions. You must undergo SME status certification. This is done through the website, actually. So there is a link to click on it, and it will lead you directly to the certification page. There is a fee of 100 ringgit to obtain the certification. Next, you must fulfill the SME definition. On the next page, I will just show you the summary of what's actually an SME. And annual sales turnover must exceed $300,000 ringgit per year. That's the minimum. At least 60% local equity. Valid business premises license from local authorities. At least 6 months in operation, and you must be willing to undergo or have undergone score assessment. So essentially, score assessment is a 14-page document which the SME Corp refers to check the competitiveness of your business. The score assessment and the SME status certification is valid for 2 years. So you need to apply for those today if you are deciding to apply for this grant. Do note that the certification and score assessment takes 3 business days to process, but do bear in mind this lockdown period, the process can be delayed, so it's better to apply early. Priority criteria, you must be a business taxpayer, a minimum paid up capital of 30,000 ringgit, cash at banks of at least 20% project value, and ratio of local workers against foreigner workers must be 70 to 30. Projects with high value added or contribution to increase productivity. This is a summary of the SME definition. If you're in the manufacturing industry, sales turnover must not exceed 50 million ringgit or full-time employees not exceeding 200 workers. And if you're in services or other sectors, sales turnover must not exceed 20 million ringgit or full-time employees not exceeding 75 workers. Here are some of the required documents for this application. You would need SSM certificate, owner and shareholder details, your company P&L, tenancy agreement, your 2020 audited account or 2020 management account for enterprise, and 3 months bank statement. Over here is a sample of Lampiran A. So Lampiran A is actually the main application form which applicants need to fill out. It is actually a checklist of all the documents you need to submit to SME Corp. As you can see, the first item here is Sijil Akuan Status PKS. That is the SME status certification. And the other form the applicant needs to take note of is Lampiran B. Actually, these forms will only become available once the application window is open. So Lampiran B is more details about your company. So where you will need to provide photos of your office and provide your company SWOT analysis. And the third form is Lampiran D. This is the one that will be filled out by your chosen vendor. Application tips. Do apply for the SME status certification and score rating immediately, because those two are the most important documents you need to submit. So without those, your application will be rejected automatically. So start the project early, planning early, and have all the documentation ready for your online submission and also the hard copy submission. Other tips, do apply on the 1st September itself. Chances will be much better or much higher if you apply on the 1st. Hard copies, you send it to SME Corp office within 14 days of online submission. Try to avoid courier delivery service and submit it in person, because then you are able to get an acknowledgement from the officer there after they go through your documents to make sure everything is in order and sufficient. 2 quotations will be required from your chosen service provider. If you can, provide them a video or photos of the product or service which you decide to acquire. This is the link that takes you to the application page, but it's currently unavailable at the moment because application is only open in September. And here's the email address for SME Corp and the contact number, followed by the mailing address. Okay, so we are done with the SME Corp. Any questions so far? If not, I will just walk you through the second grant. Okay, so the next one we have is the CDAC Digitalization Matching Grant, 50% matching grant, and the amount is 5,000 ringgit. Application opens in August. So who can apply? Businesses registered under the relevant laws of Malaysia, and also businesses with a Selangor address only. And you need to have a minimum annual sales turnover of 300,000 ringgit. It must not exceed 3 million. Now this is phase 2. So for phase 1, the limit is 1 million ringgit, but they've changed it to 3 million. So any application which was rejected in phase 1 for exceeding the sales turnover limit, you may reapply in phase 2. And it must be at least 51% owned by Malaysians and in operation for at least 1 year. And it's limited to 1 application per company only. However, SMEs are allowed to apply up to 3 services with 1 or more service providers that are endorsed by SIDEC. The documents required slightly different for Sendirian Berhad and sole proprietorship. And they've also recently revised the documents required. They've lessened the amount of documents. So previously, you need to provide the IC copy, my card copy, and also the utilities bill. Now for phase 2, it's without the IC copy and the utilities bill. And the process, first you must look for your selected DSP, such as VLAN. We are endorsed by SIDEC to provide services for this grant application. Step 2, you must ask for an invoice from the DSP. Step 3, submit your application through the website. And the last step, you'll see a notification of approval via email within 21 working days. And the process flow is also quite straightforward. Application, when it opens for SMEs, then you will receive a notification of approval via email. For activation, training modules, and digitalization systems to be properly implemented within 1 month of approval. The DSP must provide proof of activation and reports to SIDEC. And grant payment will only be issued to DSP's accounts after providing the proof of payment. Do note that documents need to be uploaded in 1 PDF copy. For example, your 2-month bank statement needs to be in 1 PDF file, not separate files. Here's a sample page of the company business profile, which you need to download via this link for the submission. So SIDEC requires you to do this by just clicking on the link, and you may look for your company. and provide these documents to SIDEC. And that is all for the SIDEC Digitalization Matching Grant. Any questions from the floor? You may just type your question in the Q&A section, and we will answer your questions at the end. Okay, so moving to the last but not least, the MDEC BSN SME grant. Okay, so I'll just walk you through the eligibility. The company must be at least owned 60% by Malaysians, and the company is registered under relevant laws of Malaysia. This is nationwide. It's not like SIDEC where you need to have a Selangor address. This is nationwide, and the in operation for at least 6 months. The company must have an average annual sales turnover of 50,000 ringgit. So the requirement for MDEC BSN is lower. So it's 50,000 ringgit annual sales turnover only, but it must not exceed 1 million ringgit. And professional businesses such as clinics, law firms, architect firms can also apply for this grant. The required documents, you must provide copy of the passport or IC of the directors, the partners, and then you need the complete application form and declaration form, which you can obtain from the website. I'm sorry, FYI, the grant is ongoing, so you can apply for it today. And it must be signed by the directors of the company or the owners. Copy of business registration licenses. For co-op, you need the SKM registration certificate. And you need the company's bank statement last 2 months. Only the latest documents will be accepted. And you need either quotation or invoice from your authorized vendor. If you submit the quotation first, then you must provide the invoice during the receipt submission. Application workflow. So the applicant is to contact the appointed TSP, such as VLAN, and then the applicant must complete and submit application form along with required documents to the TSP. Step number 3, TSP to compile applications, fill up master list sheet, and send list of applications with complete documents to bank. Next, applicant is to make 50% payment of the total invoice amount. Next, the TSP or applicant must submit proof of payment to BSN branch where the application is processed. And then the BSN branch will update the headquarters to process the grant disbursement. And then the service provider will be notified on the disbursement. Application is by hard copy only. There's no online submission. You can apply for different solutions with different TSPs, and you may submit to the main state branch according to your state. But you must bear the cost of all the courier services and any other costs incurred. And do remember to get the officer to go through the documents, ensure everything is in order and is sufficient. And only then you get them to acknowledge. Okay, so via the Locate Us section on the BSN website, so you need to find the Business Finance Center and the main branches in Selangor and Kuala Lumpur as per the following. So only you need to submit the hard copy to the main branches only. These are some of the issues or the reasons why an application was rejected. Customer paid full amount of the invoice. This is not a reimbursement. Incomplete, incorrect documentation. Customer does not make sufficient payment. It should be 50% or less than 50% if grant amount exceeds 10,000 ringgit. Application form signed by staff or an employee where it should be signed by the director or a business owner. Submission is not to the respective BSN main branch, according to the states the business is located. Does not submit original application form. Documents are blurred or unreadable. payment is not made within 1 month after approval, and customer is confused on how the grant works. So for example, they expect a cash payment from the grant. Here is the link for the BSN application and also our contact details. You may contact myself via email, a phone number, or Liling via email and also a phone number. Okay, so I will hand it over to Liling.
Thank you, Yulia. That's quite a lot of information. Can I have the next page with an overview? So since we've gone through quite a lot of details, here is a grant summary that you can see of all the 3 grants that we went through. And I understand there's a lot of information to process and a lot of things to prepare. But the point of this webinar is for us to share that start early and don't go at it alone. So we hope to have the chance to have this conversation with you early about your grant application, about your digitalization solutions need, so that we are prepared together with you. And the only time is when the grant starts, you'll just upload the application and press send and wait for the money to come. And other than the 3 grants, if you are considering any other options of financial solutions that is other than the usual financial institution that is industries, such information is also available and such option is also available. But that is on case-to-case basis. Thus, if you have such needs and inquiries, do connect with us after this webinar and we will share more with you. And with that, that will be the end of our webinar and we will open the floor for Q&A. Thank you. Norman, over to you.
Right, thank you, Leah and Liling. Right, so now is the session where we actually take your questions and we will answer them as much as we can. So there are a few questions that already has been posted in the Q&A section. So if you do have questions on the grants or your concerns about it, do just drop them in there. One of the questions that came in is that is there a way for am I able to apply for all 3 grants if I need to, or only just for 1 grant? Yeah, who would like to take that?
I'll take that. Yes, you can apply for all 3 grants.
Right. So there is no limit for me to apply. Like if I apply for example, if I'm applying for 1, will that be like am I restricted, like, you know, in terms of, like, you know, they check my, what do you call this thing, the system, maybe secrets and all? No, they don't do that, right?
Not really. But they are, for all the most of the grants, there actually has a clause that will say that priority will be given to businesses that has not received any grant before. Priority. But the point is, right, you would not know which grant you will get first. And the objective of government having all this grant is for businesses to springboard and to start and accelerate their digitalization. So if you do apply for all, and if, for example, when we aim for SME Corp, when they process and then you go ahead with it, then the other entity will also do their due diligence to review. So they would have a right to maybe notice that say, oh, there's a grant recipient, maybe not, but then it's always a chance. And so our advice would be apply for all.
Okay, so that we will be able to know, I mean, at least we'll get one of it, right? Is that what you mean? Yeah, that's a good advice. Another question that came in is that, can we apply more than 1 for the MDEC SME grant?
The MDEC
BSN, somewhat similar. Yeah, somewhat similar to the first question, right? But yeah, the question came in like a MDEC SME grant. So I believe there is more than 1 specific grant, right, from MDEC. So is it possible for us to apply? Like, for example, you have the digitalization grant as well as the SME grant from MDEC. So can we apply for both at the same time?
Well, what you may want to take note is if MDEC BSN grant, you can only apply this grant 1 time. And the same with CDEC, you can only apply this grant 1 time. But when you apply, you can have different solutions submitted in. So, but at the same time, you can submit in your submission for both grants. Does that answer the question?
Right, okay. So we can submit for both grants at the same time?
Yes.
Right, okay. So the next question is by Anonymous as well. digital marketing services, is it included in this grant?
Yes, for digital marketing services is included under all three grants.
Right. Could you give us an example? Like, for example, if you want to apply for the grant and then you want to put ads on social media, is that also applicable for the grant?
For ads for social media, I understand this is a hot need also out there. It's mainly for CDAC grant, it's still available. Although for our VLAN side, we actually focuses on digital marketing systems that will help you to manage your digital marketing system throughout the year. So the needs for digital marketing, then it is best if you have such inquiries, have that conversation with us offhand for us to evaluate your purposes. One thing about having ads and promotions, yes, it elevate your presence, but for a very short period. But you have to think about that everybody's on the online space, so it's very competitive. So the money you have very little one way. And having said that, it's applicable, but there are also other options of digital marketing systems that may give you better outcome. So have a chat with us after this.
Okay, do keep your questions coming in so that we can actually take them. If you have any concerns, this is the best time to actually ask them so that we can answer all your questions and your concerns about applying for the grant. So we'll give you another maybe 10 minutes to send them in so that we can actually take all those questions. So another question that we have is that, for example, if we are not actually online, right, a business that is not online, so and I'm not very good at technology. So how do I apply for these grants? I don't even know where to start. What am I applying for? What systems am I going to apply for? So how do I do that?
You start by contacting us for the next consultation. I'm sorry, it may sound like a plug. Actually, it's not a sales pitch, but so you start by talking to a tax provider like us, because we help to evaluate your business need. And how to start is once we will look into the areas on how to maybe help your business to have more of online presence. As you can see, all these grants, right, they are pillars of technology where you can apply for the grants. But most importantly is your business need. So have that conversation with us after this, where we then sit with you to look at your business needs and which part of the technology require the most or require attention the most or helps you with the business to go online the most. And then we will advise with you accordingly, which are the segment you should focus and which are the segment you can apply for the grant. And this is why we are having this webinar, because you don't have to go at it alone. Go with someone who have the experience in technology and in applying the grants.
Right. Okay, we've got this concern where if I'm already using a system, right? So I'm already paying for it. Can I actually apply for this grant to pay for that?
That question is a bit broad. I can't answer specific unless I know what system, how you've been used for, and which grant you intend to apply. There are certain more fine-tuned criteria. Like for example, CDAC grant actually allows for renewal of software. So the same thing, reach out to us. Let us sit together with you to see your needs for the digitalization and which grant suits you the best.
Right. So it's not necessary that I need to purchase a brand new system. Is that what you're saying?
For MDEC BSN grant is actually a new systems. For CDAC, they allow new systems and renewals.
Right. So for example, if I'm using Microsoft Teams and I need to renew the license for next year, I can apply for this grant?
Go for CDAC.
Okay, so there is a specific grant that I can actually apply for.
Yes.
Yeah. Right. So we talk about a lot of about grants, right? Is this like a loan? I mean, it's just a a really weird question to ask, right?
That's a very good question. I love money questions. So no, but what it's not a loan, but calling it a matching grant, meaning the customers, you have to fork out the money first. For example, like SME Corp grant, which is 400,000 for the whole project. If your whole project, if it's 100,000, you got to be prepared to finance the whole project first. At the same time, once it get approved, then SME Corp will pay you back the approved amount that is up to 400,000. They will pay you back. So for all this is, we have to be prepared to fork out first, and then we get back 50%, up to 50%.
Right. So it's a 50-50, right? So meaning to say that 50% will be backed by the applicant and 50% will be backed by the government or the organization, right? Right, and we don't have to pay back for that 50%.
No, that's why grant is hot. It's not a loan. But if
Right.
you're looking for loan, like I said, if there are more needs, that is from
Mm.
other the financial institution to reach out to us lah.
So it's free money lah. So we shouldn't take this for granted. We should actually apply for this if we really need it, or we could see where we can fit in, right? Why
Yeah,
waste it?
and the reason why we reach out also, since skiing is a free money, right? Realistically, it's going to be very hot. So there will be a lot of applications. That's why we wanted to have this session so you can have the edge, the tips that when it's just open, you'll be on the forefront in applying for it.
Right. So I'm just curious to find out like how many have we actually submitted, and is there any win cases for VLAN Asia?
We have sorry for my end of last year, we actually have a few customers where we successfully gotten the MDEC Smart Automation Grant, which was a matching grant up to 200,000.
So we
And even
we
sorry.
managed to apply this for our customers.
Yes, we do. And CDEC also we have very good success case for their grants application. MDEC honestly is a bit more challenging because their application process is a bit manual. It's a bit manual because they need to submit via hard copy. As you know, because of the lockdown and the current situation, anything manual will have certain delay in form and everything. So that's why currently as of now, CDEC's grant is one of the most convenient and fastest way, and you get a faster answer on the approval and such.
Right. So the CDEC grant is only for businesses which is located in Selangor, am I right?
Yes.
Right. And MDEC is for businesses
Whole Malaysia.
whole Malaysia?
Yes.
Right. And then there's the new grant, which is the SME Corp grant, right? That's applicable for whole Malaysia as well.
Yes.
When is that going to be available for the application?
This is the money data. For SME Corp grant, it opens on 1st September. For CDEC grant, it opens on 1st August. For MDEC BSN grant, it's already open. You can apply anytime.
Right. Okay. So we should be prepared, get your scorings before time comes, and then so that we can actually start applying for it in September, right? For the SME Corp one. Okay. Thank you very much, Li-Ling and Leah, for the presentation today, as well as all the attendees that actually stayed back till now. That's all the time we have for the Q&A. If you can look at the screen at the moment, I'm actually sharing the QR code for feedback. So if you have enjoyed this webinar, or you have any suggestions on us to improve in our webinar, do scan this QR code and let us know how we can improve, as well as if you're interested in any of the products and services, as well as the grants that we've actually mentioned today, do scan this QR code as well and just fill it up, and we will get somebody to get in touch with you. So in the time being, until we see you guys again, stay safe and stay at home. Thanks everyone. See y'all.